introduce Ingo Gold, The Power of Courage.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So writing this speech was really tough for me. I struggled with finding the right idea, and then I watched a talk by Simon Sinek about the 5 rules of life. I really loved how he told 5 stories, and he made a point, told a story, made a point, told a story, made a point. And I thought I want to do something like that too. So I got some help from a Hollywood storytelling consultant, and his book Storytelling Made Easy. And I wrote 3 personal stories, and I boiled them down to just one idea I want to share with you today. What surprised me most was that all these stories were all already part of me and inside of me. But for the first time, I was able to put them on paper. And that's why I need a little help to tell them. So through writing these stories, I discovered what made me happy all along. So here's the first story. The first 10 years of my career at SAP, I spent living out of a suitcase. Airports, hotels, conference rooms, they felt like home. Isn't that sad? I missed my family. And to maximize our time together, I would just take the first flight on Monday mornings, early in the morning, take the red-eye back on Thursdays to be back with them. As you can imagine, this is very exhausting. So I felt chronically exhausted doing that. So one time I flew to a customer in Los Angeles, and I didn't feel very well that day. And I hoped it would be better next day, but I ended up being in a hospital in Los Angeles. I was diagnosed with atrial fibrillation, which is a heart condition, irregular heartbeat. It comes and goes like a migraine, and it makes you feel like you're clicking just on one cylinder. It's a very, very bad feeling. So that was my wake-up call. And I needed to change something. So I started persuading our program manager to change my role on the project to be an architect, not a consultant. So that reduced my travel from 3 weeks per month on average to just 1 or 2 weeks per month. So that was a good start. Second, I hired a coach to help me to develop better strategies to cope with the stress and to manage my time. So that was the second step that really helped. Thirdly, I was very lucky, because there was an opportunity for me to go on an internal project, which again reduced my time to travel to just once every other month, which was great. So the point is that it took a lot of courage to ask for the change of the role on the project, because I put my job on the line because traveling is part of consulting. It took a lot of grit to not fall back into the old behavioral patterns that I had, and it took a lot of guts to go on this new project, which was completely out of my comfort zone. So 2.5 years later, after lying in the hospital bed in Los Angeles, I changed careers and created the best possible outcome for myself and my family. I didn't think it would happen that early. It takes courage to be happy. That's a thing that occurred to me when I was writing these stories. It takes courage to be happy. So and I can tell you, don't wait for the wake-up call. Don't wait for the wake-up call. Change something now if you can. Second story. I never considered volunteering because of my consulting job. So I didn't think it was feasible because of all the travel that I did, and it was also a nice excuse, convenient excuse to not go out of my comfort zone and do something at school with my children. So then one day I read Bill McDermott's autobiography, and Bill McDermott is the CEO of SAP. That's a company that I work for. And I learned about his love for basketball and how he helped coach his brother's 5th grade team. And I just wanted to be like Bill. Just wanted to be like Bill. And just then the universe heard me. And the rec department in Mechanicsburg was looking for coaches, basketball coaches. And I said, you just found your coach. I applied for the job. I did all the required trainings, and I was hired on the spot for this volunteer job. And I was able to coach my son's first grade basketball team. It was just a tiny problem. Didn't have any coaching experience. I didn't have much basketball playing experience. Coming from Germany, so I had zero experience. 3 weeks leading to the first practice, I got my hands on everything about coaching and basketball that I could get. Books, videos, podcasts, you name it. I even spied on my daughter's basketball coach when she had her first practice. Taking notes while she was coaching the team. To make a long story short, it ended up being one of the best experiences that I had. And we even won the last game. But I was so glad that I had the courage to try something new, despite my lack of experience. It takes courage to be happy. So the third story. And I told the story, I was practicing the speech, and I was... So what do you do when you tear up? Toastmasters. Take deep breath.
Yeah.
I was telling the story to my daughter when she was riding her bike, and it was just... I guess now I need some courage, right? So my wife and I, we just finished school. That was 2005. So didn't plan this. She lived in the US and I lived in Germany. She preferred to stay in the US because she thought she had better chances in the US to find a job. And I wanted to stay in Germany because I thought I would have better chances there. But we knew that couldn't go on indefinitely, so I set myself an ultimatum. You know, I had a few opportunities after my MBA that I wanted to pursue in Germany, and that's what I wanted to do. Despite all the best efforts, guess what happened? Didn't work out. I didn't find a job in Germany. At my last interview, I started out doing really, really well. I told the story, a personal story about myself and how I showed a picture of myself on a road bike and how I was climbing the career mountain. But from there it went downhill in that interview, and I didn't get it. So I felt disappointed, but at the same time, I was very excited what was to come next. I decided to take a giant leap of faith and come to the US to start a new life with my wife Katie. So we applied for a fiancé visa, and when I got it, I packed my 2 suitcases. I arrived in New York City, like so many immigrants before me, to pursue happiness in a new world. That's where the t-shirt. 4 weeks later, we got married. And the first 6 months were very tough. You know, I was struggling finding a job. And my courage kept me going, especially when another rejection letter just knocked me down. My courage helped me to pick up the phone, to call SAP, and to ace the interview. I wanted to say to fucking ace the interview and get my first job. We were so ecstatic when we received the offer letter. And today, I feel extremely blessed to live an extraordinarily happy life in the US. It takes courage to be extraordinarily happy. For me, courage is the key to happiness. It's the key to an extraordinarily happy life. So I want to ask you, what is maybe something you want to change? You have the courage to do that, you just change it. What is something that you want to try? Just have the courage and try it. What's a decision that you need to make? Have the courage and make it today. May courage lead you to a happy ending. Thank you.